and welcome back to the Rocky Mountain Short Takes on Suicide Prevention Podcast. I'm Melissa McCarg, and today I'd like to welcome Matt Moores. He works with a terrific organization called Warrior Canine Connection, and he has both professional and personal experience with training dogs to serve veterans. But I will let Matt tell you more about that as we get into it. Thank you for taking the time to join us today, Matt, and it's really a pleasure to speak with you and to learn more about Canine Connection.
No, it's really a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm looking forward to talking with you and with everyone listening about what we do.
That's awesome. I am too. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and get started, jump right into it. I want to let people know that we are going to include some really terrific links where you can find out more information about Warrior Canine Connection, and that includes a totally amazing puppy cam. But to get us started, I wonder if, Matt, you could give us a little bit of a background. So what does Warrior Canine Connection offer veterans, whether it be around training or petting or maybe even receiving one of these amazing animals?
Right, so we do all those things and more. Warrior Canine Connection is a nonprofit organization that operates out of military hospitals and the Palo Alto VA, and we train service members to train dogs for disabled veterans. And we, bring in people from the community, as you mentioned, as puppy petters. And one of the end products that we do produce is service dogs, both mobility and psychiatric service dogs for disabled veterans.
That's amazing. Are these animals, once they're trained, are they available to veterans anywhere in the country?
So we right now are focused around the area where we are located, and that's part of a health concern for our follow-on care for the dog and for the individual that we place them with. We want to make sure that we can answer questions and bring the dogs in if something's going on, to tweak training and behavior and things like that.
I see. Okay. So currently they would be available basically in two locations, you said? Is it Walter Reed and also the VA Palo Alto?
Right, so we operate out of Walter Reed Hospital, Fort Belvoir, and the Palo Alto VA. So those, locations are around where we tend to place dogs. So in the tri-state area, DC Metro, and then over on the left coast.
Okay, and hopefully I'm hoping that maybe in time that could be expanded to other locations?
Well, that's the plan. So we are in the works of expanding nationally. That's one of the big things that we're working on right now, is gearing up and bringing this to more people.
That would be amazing. Well, one of the main kind of tenets that you go by is something called mission-based trauma recovery. And I'm wondering if you could kind of explain to our listeners what that means and what would it look like kind of in relation to warriors and canines.
Absolutely. So this is the thing that we're really proud of, and it's frankly what saved my life. What sets us apart from many other organizations that do similar work. There are a lot of organizations that train service dogs and place service dogs. And what sets us apart is that we involve service members who are in recovery in our program. So it's not just about one dog going to one person. It's about a dog having a connection with 50, 60 people as they train this dog to be a service dog. So it brings guys like me into a mission and gives us purpose again. And that's, like I said, that was crucial to my recovery. So I won't bore anyone too much with my background, but I was in the Marine Corps. I was a tanker. And in 2013, I was on a patrol with my guys and sang in it. And my tank was destroyed. We ran over an IED. We were in an ambush. My tank was destroyed. My friend's tank was destroyed as he maneuvered to protect us. And it was bad. So it was bad. So I finished the deployment because I wanted to stay with my guys. And after that incident, I knew something was wrong, but I'd look at myself in the mirror. And I couldn't see anything wrong. I didn't get burned like my friends in the other tank. I hadn't been shot, but something was not right. I was angry all the time. I couldn't remember the names of my Marines. I'd be looking at them, and I couldn't figure it out. So about a year later, I met Walter Reed, and I was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury and with severe PTSD, and the doctors told me that I was going to be medically retired. They said, Corporal Moore's, this is what's going on with you. You have a broken back, you have this brain injury, you have post-traumatic stress. We're recommending you for a medical board. And that caught me completely off guard. I had envisioned that I would go to the hospital and they would fix whatever was going on with me, and that I would be back on my tank with my Marines, because that was my plan. I was a Marine, and I was going to be a Marine. My friends, my friends and I joke around now. They tell me I was bad at war. And I forgot to die on the tank, and it was that was the plan. I was career Marine. So when that wasn't going to happen anymore, it was like having the carpet pulled out from underneath of me. That was the last thing that I was holding on to. I felt like my life was spinning out of control. I didn't understand what was wrong with me, but at least I still had my purpose. At least I still was a Marine. And I took it really badly, and I'm really fortunate that the doctor who was in charge of my care at Walter Reed told me about Warrior Canine Connection and the mission-based trauma recovery program. I said, Corporal Morris, I want you to go check this out. It's a program. They teach wounded guys how to train dogs. And I'll tell you that my reaction initially to that was, well, that sounds stupid. I'm a Marine. I'm not going to go clean up after dogs. I'm not. You got the wrong guy.
Right.
It was funny. The doctor was a naval officer, and he looked at me and he said, so you were right about one of those things. You're a Marine, and you're going to do what the hell I would order you to do. And that was pretty much that, So I stalked out of his office and headed down to Warrior Canine Connection that they had set up. And I remember the whole walk there. I was thinking of how dumb this was, and I was so angry because I'd been of other treatments, and it was not working. So I thought, here we go. Another waste of my time. And I brought that attitude right into the office. I'm sitting down there, and the folks from Warrior Canine Connection are telling me about how it works. And I am burning a hole through the wall in the back of that office. So angry, thinking, how can I get out of here? How do I get back to my room? Like, how do I quit? And as I'm thinking that, I felt something touch my knee, and I looked down, and there's a puppy there. And I thought, okay, that's weird. So I start petting this dog, and the next thing I know, I'm on the ground with it, and the puppy's, up on my chest, kissing me in the face, and I'm laughing. And I hear my wife, who was with me, sort of stifle a sob. And I look back over my shoulder, and I said, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you crying? And she said, Matt, this is the first time that I have seen you smile or laugh or display any kind of emotion besides anger and fear. So you'll have to excuse me if I'm a little bit emotional right now. And she was right. It really was clear to me, to us both, in that moment, how true that was. That was the first time where I'd felt anything positive since I'd been injured. So we knew right then and there, like, this is the real deal. This is what we need to be involved with. And that is how I got involved. So mission-based trauma recovery is about teaching people how to be a person again through the mission of training a dog for someone else. Because my failure to respond to therapy wasn't necessarily that there was anything wrong with the therapy or the treatments. It was because I failed to engage with it. I could not get it through my head that I should be in a hospital having people fuss over me and take care of me when I looked in the mirror and there's nothing wrong. And in my head, I know there's guys who have been shot, or while I was at Walter Reed, I look around and see these people have no arms, there are soldiers here with no legs, and there's nothing wrong. So I couldn't figure it out. But when I had the mission that, okay, this isn't about me, this is about training a dog for someone who needs depending on me, and that I can relate with, and that's what the people in our program, it's what makes it successful, is we take the focus off of the individual in care, and we give them purpose again. And that's what gave me a sense of self-worth again. As I told you, when they said, you're not a Marine anymore, well, if I'm not a Marine, what am I? And with this, I felt like I could still serve. I would go in and work with this dog, take this dog out into public, teach this dog how to respond to stress cues, teach a dog how to open doors, turn off lights, teach a dog how to go on the metro, and that kind of stuff was therapeutic for me, and it didn't give me a way to get out of it. Even though I didn't want to get up and go on the metro because it was symptomatic. I did not feel safe. But because the focus wasn't on me, because the focus was on the dog, I did it. And I found that the more I did those things, the better I felt. So our founder calls it the Trojan dog effect. He says that when you take the focus off the individual, off the person who's working in this program, and you make it about something bigger, the therapy sneaks in. And I'll tell you, it is a night and day difference. My wife knew what days I've been working with dogs and what days I wasn't. Come home and you're happy. So that's what it is, and that's how it works.
That's a very powerful story. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
And you also kind of have a unique history and story with Warrior Canine Connection in that you both trained animals, and yet you also ended up with one of the canines you were training. Is that right? Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit more about you and James and how you kind of ended up together?
Sure. Well, I like I said, knew from day one that this is what I needed to be doing. So I was constantly at the Warrior Canine Connection headquarters, volunteering, helping with training. I went through the full mission-based trauma recovery program at Walter Reed, and they trained me how to train dogs. So then I came to headquarters and was helping the trainers there train puppy parents and who are community volunteers that raise our dogs. And I was working a lot with a dog named James. And James is a very special dog. He's very smart. He is very stubborn and requires not a firm hand, but he just likes who he likes. So I was very happy with the way James was progressing, and he worked well with me, and we were happy with he's starting to work better with other clients as well. And but we were kind of dragging, and we couldn't find quite the right placement for him. We couldn't find someone that really clicked with him. And I came into work one day, and one of my coworkers came up to me and said, Matt, I really need to talk to you about James. And I immediately went on the defensive. I was thinking, I know, I'm still working with him. I believe he's going to be a great service dog. We just have to find the right fit for him. There's someone out there that this is going to work for. And she cut me off and said, yeah, you're right. I agree with you. He is a great dog. And the other trainers and I have talked, and we think that James should be with you. And I'm getting kind of choked up a bit. It was another real turning point in my life because so I joined late. I had worked a lot of other jobs before I was in the Marines. I had some experience working with people, and I never thought I would find a group of people who were like family, that were coworkers again, like I had in the Marines. I mean, you're with those people all the time. They're more than your friends; they're your family, and it was really hard walking away from that because I thought, how am I ever going to find something like that again? And when this group of people saw through me saying I'm fine and I don't need help, and recognized how different I was when I was with James and when I wasn't, because it's true. I needed him, and I was better with him, but I was still holding on to this mindset that I didn't deserve him. And it was just an incredibly beautiful and powerful moment in my life and in my recovery to see that these people loved me, uh, and they cared about me and they wanted what was best for me. And that was how I got James. So we started the application process, and went through the training. All of the procedures that we go through to place a dog, and now he's with me all the time. And it's absolutely changed my life in a profound way. I'll tell people I'll never be who I was, but I'm very happy with who I've become.
That's amazing. And James is a big part of that.
James is a huge part of that. It was all about finding a purpose, finding a new mission, finding a community that cared about me and that I cared about. We love each other. And then James is he's, I just love him. I don't know what else to say. He's an incredibly funny, special dog, and we just really get each other.
That reminds me of a couple of the stories and the videos I've seen with you and James, and in those you mentioned a couple times about how having James in your life made you whole again, and also how he reminds you to step out of the story. And I was really kind of struck by that, and I was wondering if you had maybe a moment you could share that would maybe show how James does that. How does he draw you away from past experiences and bring you nearer to wholeness?
So the dogs that we train have been bred and of course trained to respond to stress cues. Our dogs are naturally aesthetic. They observe people. They are very good at picking out when something is off, and they are then trained to interrupt that by gradually being more more invasive. So James sees me having a bad time. The first thing he'll do is look at me and try to get my attention that way. And if that doesn't work, James will walk up to me and press himself against my leg. And if I'm still not paying attention to him, he'll bump my hand and then try to lick my hand until I focus on him. But I know the video that you're talking about, and I was talking about being blown up. I was talking about being in Afghanistan and having my tank destroyed by enemy action. And that is something that I not relived, but that day and the sequence of events and what happened and my Marines' faces are constantly on my mind. And if I am distracted, I will get caught looping that, and I can zone out and get more and more upset. And what James is wonderful at is seeing that and acting like a goofball to try to get my attention. So in that video, he off camera was spinning in loops, and making a silly sound like I don't know. It's just funny. But that's what he does, and his whole character, everything about James is funny. If you just look at him, say, God, what a goofy boy. And that is perfect because it reminds me to be mellow, to calm down, to just to acknowledge, what I'm thinking about, but remind myself that it's in the past, and that I need to live for now and focus on what is good and what is happy and all the positive things in life.
Well, I think you might have just, in a way, already answered this question, but kind of going along those same lines, I'm wondering, there is currently research, and we will include links to this from the Warrior Canine Connection website that's gathering an evidence base for therapeutic service dog training programs like this one. But I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about, from your experience or others you work with, what do you think is it about a warrior dog connection that may reach veterans when other treatments may not have? And I think you have already touched on this, but if you have anything else to add.
I do. What I would like to share, I was just recently working with a gentleman, and he really summed it up perfectly. He said that he had, gone through all these other treatments, and he was not able to connect with it. And, he wasn't able to access those emotions in a healthy way, and he still didn't want to talk about them because he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control it. So he just wouldn't share, and that's a huge barrier to getting better. You have to engage with help and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said what makes this special is that these dogs don't just open a door; they break down the wall, and it's instant. He was telling me that as soon as he saw this dog, everything was better. As soon as he was holding him and the dog's kissing his face, and he, has his hands in the dog's fur, and if you love dogs, you know what I'm talking about. They make things better.
And it sounds like there's kind of an instant sort of safety there, maybe.
Absolutely. There is safety in that. There is calmness in it. It's positive. Everything about it is love, the healing power of love.
I love that. Yeah. Well, kind of winding down toward the end, I'm wondering if you might have a particular story that sort of stands out in your mind, working either with the dogs or with other warriors.
What strikes me, every time is that, and why I'm so passionate about doing this is that I hear over and over again how important this is to people. And I talk to wives and husbands who say the same thing that my wife said about me, and said that this is what makes a difference. This is what helps. I haven't seen the person I love happy in years, and now they're happy. How do we help? How do we stay involved? And I'll tell you that I just wake up excited every day to be a part of that, to be a part of spreading healing and hope and love in a world that badly needs all those things.
That's for sure. So kind of piggybacking on that, I am sure that there are listeners out there who would be interested in, as you say, kind of being a part of that and contributing to Warrior Canine Connection in what way that might be possible, or even someone possibly interested in receiving a dog of their own. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how someone might go about becoming involved, either becoming a petter or a trainer or...
Sure. People who are interested in becoming involved with the organization, receiving a dog, becoming a volunteer, contributing to our fundraising events, which are crucial to us. Again, we are a nonprofit, and all of the work we do is dependent on contributions. So the best way to get to all of that is through our website, warriorcanineconnection.org. And if people need help, if people listening are hearing things and thinking, hey, that sounds like me, please reach out to me directly. My position at Warrior Canine Connection is Veterans Outreach Coordinator, and my job is to connect veterans with our services. So I can be reached at matt.moores@warriorcanineconnection.org, and I'm sure we'll have links available to all that attached to this podcast.
Absolutely, we will. That's terrific. And I'm wondering if you could tell us who or what might be eligible to actually receive a Warrior Canine.
So this is another thing that I'm very proud of. There's so much focus on post 9/11 veterans and on combat wounded veterans, and those people absolutely deserve help, but that is not everyone. To me, I don't see a difference between someone who went to combat and needs help and someone who didn't go to combat and needs help. And I don't see a difference between a Vietnam veteran or a Korean War veteran who needs help and an Afghanistan veteran. So we provide mobility and psychiatric service dogs to veterans of the United States Armed Forces. And again, to look at if our dogs would be something that works for you, please go to the website, learn a little bit more about us, and I really encourage anyone who needs help to reach out. And even if we are not an appropriate fit, we will work hard to find you the help that you need.
That's terrific. And I'm wondering if there might be, it sounds like you will be expanding nationally, but right now you're kind of on either coast. Would there be opportunities for folks who might be able to contribute in a more online or virtual environment?
Absolutely. I think that one of the neat things about us is that we do have a widespread social media presence. We have our 24/7 puppy cam, and a community has really grown up around that. They call themselves the Extreme Puppy Watchers. It's funny, but they really do contribute to our mission through fundraising, through gifting things that we need, and through flying in to actually volunteer on site.
That's terrific. As a closing, I'm wondering if there's anything that we haven't covered that you might want to add now before we close for now.
I can't think of anything, but what I do like to say is that if you're suffering like I was, I didn't look for help as soon as I should have. And the people who were affected by that the most were the people who I loved the most. I distinctly remember my wife talking to me, my brother talking to me, my best friends talking, and the only thing I could think was, when is this person going to shut up? And I would look at them and know I loved them. I know I was supposed to love them, but I didn't feel anything. And that hurt them badly. They knew something was wrong, and they knew I wasn't getting better, and they knew I wasn't getting help. If you are suffering, there is hope, and there is help, and you don't need to live that way. I didn't think it was true, but it is. I am better. Like I said, I will never be the person I was, but I'm very happy with who I am now. And I'm very happy that I have the opportunity to share that message with people and to connect them with the same care and love that brought me out of the dark.
I would like to very much thank you for taking the time to join us and to talk about your experience. And, we hopefully maybe at some point we can do a second follow-up podcast down the road when there's more news to share.
I'd be very happy to. I really appreciate you having me on. Like I said, it's my mission in life to share the story and connect people with the care that they need. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that today, and thank you very much for what you do and being a part of increasing good in the world. Like I said, we need it.
It's our pleasure. Okay, well, that is it for today's podcast. And again, many thanks to both Matt and James. And please check out the
You're very welcome.
Okay. Please do check out those links to learn more. And again, I'm serious. You've got to check out the Puppy Cam. And
the Puppy Cam's great. And
that's a must do.
Please check out our social media too.
Yes, James has his own Twitter account.
Page.
Yes.
Yeah, James is on Twitter. He's on Instagram, and so are all the Warrior Canine Connection. A lot of the dogs, and
right.
Of course we have our main account as well.
Yes. So everybody, please get in touch with us if you have any comments, feedback, or questions. And if you have a moment, please do subscribe to our Short Takes podcast series. And as always, do join us next time for more interviews related to suicide prevention, resilience, and well-being.